Yo, what is going on, guys? It's your boy CJ Beasley here, back again. Today we have a surprise for you guys. As you can tell by the title of this video, we are actually participating in the ICBA. Super excited to be a part of this league. It's a really interesting draft style where it's like mixed Ubers with A and B separations of the tiers. So it's a super interesting style. I've never really in the RWL it was mixed Ubers, but I've never done the A and B style of drafting, so this should be really interesting. This league has a lot of great coaches you may know. All their links will be down in the description below. Some of them being Aaron2420, Diet Tight. There's always Johnny GB is in this, Under the Radar, all those guys. So definitely go check out all the coaches. Go subscribe to them right now. Leave likes on their draft analysis. I believe they come out the same day as this does, so definitely go check those out. But anyways, guys, we're just gonna hop right into things. So going into this draft, I definitely wanted to draft an Uber. I've always wanted to try an Uber, and I just haven't had the chance to. In the RWL, I decided to go away from the Ubers as I had kind of a low spot in the draft. So I decided to kind of steer away from Ubers in that draft. But this one, I got a pretty high draft number. I believe it was 5th or 6th, somewhere around there. So kind of, maybe it was more towards the middle, like 7 or 8. I don't know. It was kind of on the higher end, is what I'm trying to say. So I decided to go for an Uber. So I was looking, and I was just kind of thinking of what Ubers kind of fit my play style. And my play style is basically, at least for an Uber, I wanted something that could set up and sweep. Late game or early game or whatever, just something that was like always had a good matchup. And so I was looking through, just seeing what I could find, and I was debating between Naganadel and Darkrai, and I was kind of going back and forth between the two in my head, but I decided to go Darkrai. So here our first pick is going to be Darkrai. It is a great special attacker with access to Nasty Plot, and I believe it also gets Swords Dance. So that's something to note. With great coverage, it gets stuff like Dark Pulse, Focus Blast, Ice Beam. It gets Nightshade. I don't know if I would ever run that, but it gets Nightshade, Psychic, Shadow Ball, Sludge Bomb, Spectral Wren, Thunderbolt, all that fun stuff. So this is such a great setup mod with the 135 base special attack and 125 base speed. It really hits a great speed tier. It outspeeds most teams just by itself, which is an absolutely amazing thing. And this thing can honestly just set up a substitute, or if I want to run physical, maybe I'll run a Swords Dance set, or most of the time it's going to be Nasty Plot and just kind of win from there. As well as this being a Z captain of mine. So you might be wondering why this is a Z captain, or at least how this is a Z captain. It actually gave you enough points to go. It was basically where they split it up out of utility Z moves and offensive Z moves. So offensive Z moves only were obviously a little bit cheaper. So that's the route I went for Darkrai. And you'll see my next pick I will mention as well is also a Z captain of mine. So Darkrai is an offensive Z captain, and so is my next pick is an offensive Z captain. I really feel like I got great value out of my Z captains this draft. So definitely happy about that. But like I said, this is just a great setup sweeper. It definitely fits my playstyle of how I want to play with an Uber, so I'm definitely happy I grabbed it. So next up, I was just looking at things that would pair really well with Darkrai out of tier 1. I was kind of considering Blacephalon, Blacephalon. I totally said that wrong. I don't know how you say it, but I was considering that out of tier 2. And I wanted to grab it, but I decided not to. And I thought about Clefable, and I was gonna grab Clefable, as it really paired defensively well with Darkrai. But it got snagged, which isn't too big of a deal, so it's fine. But I just kept looking, and I'm like, oh, I think I found the perfect fit. So next up, we got our boy Victini here. You know, Victini is such a great mon with base 100 in all of its stats, puts out a really nice speed tier that really complements Darkrai's, as well as just being bulky as well as offensive, with V-Crate being a base 180 attack and its stab. And I mean, it has the lowered accuracy, but having the Victory Star makes it 100% accurate, so that is absolutely amazing. and it gets such great coverage. It gets really strong electric type moves, so water types aren't really the best switch-ins to this in general, outside of maybe like a Rotom Wash or something like that. But it even gets Energy Ball, it gets Dazzling Gleam, it can be run physical or special, Blue Flare, Final Gambit if I want to run a Choice Scarf Final Gambit set, Fire Blast, Flame Charge if I want to sweep, Flame Flare, Focus Blast, Fusion Bolt, Fusion Flare, whatever I want to run, even U-Turn. So this is also a great pivot, and it also has Trick Room, so if I want to go V-Create Trick Room and just kind of intentionally lower my speed from the V-Create, I have that option as well. And this is also, like I said, one of my Z captains, and I really feel like I got great value out of my 2 Z captains right off the bat. These are my only 2 Z captains, and they're both offensive, but I really feel like I got some great value. And Victini, excuse me, is such a great mod, so I'm really excited to use it. I've used it before, but to a lesser extent, I guess. I really didn't use it that long. I kind of had to drop out of that league for some personal issues, but anyways, next up, I kind of want to get something a little bit bulkier, as our 2 mods that we have so far is more of an offensive set, or at least like geared offensively. So I wanted something bulkier, and I also wanted to kind of focus on, or not focus, but keep in mind my Fire Water Grass Core. So I was looking what I could grab, and I saw Milotic out of tier 2, so I decided to grab Milotic. I've always wanted to use it, so I was definitely happy I could grab it. Marvel Scale and Competitive being such great abilities. If you don't know, Marvel Scale, if you're status, it gives you a 1.5 times boost to your defense, so basically gives you +1 defense for free, as long as your status in some way. And Competitive, if one of your stats gets lowered by the opponent, your special attack raises by 2. So if something has Intimidate, like Incineroar, I can bring, or if Incineroar comes in with the Intimidate, lowers my attack, I will get a +2 to my special attack. So that's absolutely amazing. This thing having 95 HP base and 79 defense with the 125 special defense just kind of makes it a ridiculous bulky threat, as well as having 100 special attack, so it's not even that bad. It can honestly be run offensive if I need it to be, since 100 base special attack isn't bad at all. With the 81 speed, so my team's kind of fast at this point. I guess my Lodic's not too fast, but it you know, everything plus like above 80 kind of makes it fast, so I kind of want to focus on getting slower stuff as we move into the later parts of the draft, but not quite yet. Coverage wise, it gets stuff like Dragon Tail to phase out setup sweepers, excuse me. It also gets stuff like Haze, Scald, Ice Beam, it gets Magic Coat, it also gets Mirror Coat, I believe, if I'm remembering right. Yeah, it gets Mirror Coat. It also gets stuff like Hydro Pump, Surf, whatever you need to, and it has Recover, so it gets great recovery options, like Recover obviously, and it also gets Refresh, so if I want to run a set that is bulky but not Marvel Scale, I can have Refresh on there, so I can't be, or at least I'll clear off the statuses off the Milotic, which is great. And this is generally just a really bulky mon. It also kind of just starts to curve out my Fire Water Grass Core pretty nicely, so I was definitely happy to grab Milotic. So other stuff I want to think about at this point, since I couldn't get the Clefable, I want to think about a Fairy type, as well as making a Fairy Dragon Steel Core. Other stuff I want to worry about, at least later in the draft, was grabbing hazards, as at this point I don't really have any form of hazards whatsoever, so that's definitely something I want to keep in mind, as Darkrai does love things just getting chipped down by hazards, and Victini as well, so that's something to keep in mind. But at the moment I don't really have anything that you know, hazard, like, is hazard removal at all, so I definitely want to fix that. So I was looking at either Florges or Sylveon. They're basically the same mon, you just kind of get different things out of them. But essentially they're the same. You know, some might agree that or disagree that Sylveon's a little bit better, but you know, it's more what your team's looking for in that sense. But I was kind of leaning more towards Sylveon just because I wanted more of the offensive threat compared to Florges, as I have used Florges in the past as well, and I haven't used Sylveon, so I kind of want to use newer stuff in this league. But it got snatched, unfortunately, a couple draft picks before me. So I went with Florges. It's a great special wall with the base 78 HP, which isn't amazing, but it's good enough. And it's fine because it has base 154 special defense, so it's absolutely crazy on the special side. With the 68 defense, doesn't really take too well of physical hits, but that's not too big of a deal with base 112 special attack. So even though this is another special wall like Milotic, it has great special attack stats, so it can deal out serious damage. And it has coverage, or not necessarily coverage, but utility out the wazoo. Stuff like Aromatherapy, Calm Mind, gets Defog, Wish, Protect, Heal Bell. It gets Light Screen. I don't believe it gets Reflect. No, it doesn't. But it also gets, it gets Toxic. It also gets, I believe that's it. Yeah, that's basically it. But, it gets a lot of coverage. It has great recovery options like Synthesis and Wish Protect, like I said. And it gets, it doesn't get too much offensive coverage outside of basically Grass and Fairy. But, Fairy spam is pretty much the best spam in the game. Oh, and it also gets Psychic, but, I don't know how much I'm going to use Psychic on this. But basically Moonblast is all it needs. Nothing really wants to take a Moonblast from a base 112 special attack stat, so that's definitely a great option. The abilities wise, it doesn't really get the best abilities, having I guess both abilities not really being useful. Yeah, but it's not really here for the abilities. It's here to just be a big special defensive wall. So I was definitely happy getting Floor. Just kind of want to Sylveon a little bit more. But this gives me a defogger, so I kind of work on that the hazards aspect of things, or hazard control. So that's definitely great. And next up, I wanted to grab something, some hazards at least. So I was kind of looking, and I'm like, what does Darkrai and Victini appreciate in hazards wise? And I thought of Sticky Webs, and I don't have an electric type yet, so I decided to grab Galvantula here. Base 108 speed is such a great speed tier. If it was like 111, it would be even better, but 108 breaks all those 105s and base 100s that most teams have, so that's absolutely amazing. With decent coverage in like Bug Buzz, Energy Ball, Discharge, Thunderbolt, and obviously the hidden powers. But what this thing's main objective to do is set up the sticky webs, which can be super annoying for teams, especially if they don't have the best removal options. It can definitely be devastating against a team, so that's a great thing to have. Not the best special attack stat, but having Compound Eyes basically makes Thunder never miss. I believe it makes it a 97% accurate move, so Thunder should really never miss. And it also has Volt Switch, so it's kind of adding on to that Volt Turn core that I have going with the Victini, which is super nice because I love Volt Turn, so definitely a nice aspect it has. But yeah, that's basically all it does, is basically set up sticky webs and just kind of hits hard with maybe like a Life Orb Thunder. Not a lot wants to switch in on that. And so just kind of being generally a nuisance, so that's a great thing to have. And next up, I just kind of wanted something a little bit more offensive. Galvantula, Florges, and Milotic aren't the most offensive. I guess Galvantula is, but I want something fast, and I also needed to kind of focus on my Dragon Fairy Steel core. And so I was just kind of looking, just seeing what I could grab. And I see Zygarde 10%, and I'm like, that's a cheap dragon that hits like a mother trucker, dude. But like honestly, it hits so hard. I mean, it has base 100 attack, which isn't the best, but throw a Choice Band on there with 1000 arrows, and nothing really wants to switch in on that except for like bug types and grass types. So it's really a great offensive threat. With the base 115 speed, its speed tier is amazing. Breaks all those 110s, so that is such a nice thing to have, like the Lotties and stuff like that. So yeah, and really this thing only has one set, and that being Choice Banded. But like it does that so well that you don't really need any other sets on it. Gets coverage like Brick Break, Crunch, gets Outrage, Extreme Speed, 1000 arrows, obviously. Rock Slide, Stone Edge, Superpowers, and Headbutt, stuff like that. So it's such a great Choice Band user, and I'm really excited to use it, honestly. But so here, at this point in the draft, this is kind of when we started getting sniped out of everything. I guess before, because before Zygarde, I wanted a ground type. I was looking at Donphan. I really wanted Donphan. Get sniped. I'm like, okay, whatever. I also wanted Roserade at this point, just to have the spikes and toxic spikes option. But that gets sniped. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I'm looking at other grass types. My draft plan initially is kind of falling apart at this point, but you know, we're working with what we got. I was looking at other grass types that could be useful, and I see Serena, so I'm like, okay, maybe Serena would be good here. You know, it's kind of a it's a good U-turn user, as well as having rapid spin and just kind of being a great offensive threat, and also being slow, because my team needs a little bit of a slower speed tiers, just so Trick Room doesn't like come every week against me. So I decide to go for Serena, and I believe 1 or 2 picks before me it gets snatched, so I'm like, crap, I don't know what to do at this point. I was just kind of getting really devastated, and I was just kind of looking at what other grass types were out there, and I saw Delmise, so I decided to grab Delmise here. Base 131 attack is absolutely ridiculous. It's a great Trick Room sweeper in case I want to run like Trick Room in case I want to run Trick Room Victini. That's a great option I have. It hits so hard. Assault Vest is a great item on it, especially having base 70 HP, 110 defense, and 90 special defense. That's not bad at all. So it can take hits relatively well. And Ghost Grass is really a great type combination offensively. Not the best defensively. It's weak to like about 7 things. But you know, it gets really good coverage as well, having the ability Steel Worker. So basically it makes all steel type attacks stab instead of just you know, neutral, or I guess not stab. With coverage like Anger Shot, Brick Break, Earthquake, it also gets Gyro Ball, Heavy Slam, Knockoff, Iron Head, Power Whip, obviously access to Rapid Spin, like I said, or I don't know if I mentioned that, but it gets Rapid Spin. One of the primary reasons I decided to pick it. Rock Slide, Shadow Claw, stuff like that. It even gets Sword Stance, so if I want to run kind of a sweeper set, I definitely have the option to, so that is a great thing. But besides that, it's really just there to be more of a hazard controller, as my team doesn't need that at this point, as I don't really have the best hazard setters, but I do need some hazard setters as well as hazard removal. So I thought Delmise having the Rapid Spin would be a great option, as well as it just being such a great mon out of tier 3. So definitely happy I grabbed Delmise. You know, I would have rather had Serena having the U-turn option as well, but you know, we'll take what we can get. So next up, we were kind of looking, seeing what we could get. We definitely, at this point, we have 4 more picks left, and we haven't grabbed a single Stealth Rock user, so that's absolutely a problem my team has at this point. And I only have 2 options for removal. 1 Rapid Spinner and Defog, obviously on the Florges. So I was kind of looking to kind of fill those holes, and I saw not Mega Aerodactyl. I saw regular Aerodactyl, and I thought I'd grab it. So I got regular Aerodactyl. I keep wanting to say Mega. With the base 105 HP, or excuse me, base 105 attack and 130 speed, makes it absolutely a great offensive threat. Throw a choice band on this, something like that, maybe a Home Claw set. Definitely will put in work. Having access to stuff like Aqua Tail, Crunch, Dragon Claw, Earthquake, Fire Fang, I believe it gets all the elemental fangs. It gets Ice Fang, it doesn't get Thunder Fang. It also gets Iron Head, Pursuit, Rock Slide, Stone Edge, obviously, as well as getting Defog and Stealth Rock, so that's absolutely crucial for my team at this point. Those are definitely 2 things I needed, so I'm really happy I was able to grab something that had those. It gives me another remover, as well as having my first Stealth Rock user, so that's absolutely amazing. It also gets access to Roost, so if I kind of want to run maybe a supportive set, I can throw a Roost on there, just kind of for the longevity of things. So that's absolutely a great option, as well as having Taunt. So Fast Taunter is really good in this format as well. Kind of shutting this down stuff like Cresselia that thinks this Trick Room fodder or whatever. So that's such a great thing to have. So like I said, this is my primarily here just for the Stealth Rocks and Defog, but it's a great mon in general. It's kind of frail, but you know, it gets the job done. So next up, I want to grab more hazards. I knew the Stealth Rock user I wanted at the very end, but I knew I could wait on it because everyone drafted a Steel type and a Mega. I'm sure you can guess by now what that will be. But I decided to wait on it just because I knew no one else could snipe it. So I didn't think it was I wasn't too eager to grab it at this point. But I wanted more hazards, so I was looking. I knew I got sniped out of Roserade that had Toxic Spikes and Spikes, and we're kind of getting to the lower tiers, so I was seeing like if there's anything that could kind of replace that aspect. And I saw Garbodor, and I'm like, okay, screw it, let's go for Garbodor. You know, it's base 80 HP and base 82 in both of its defenses isn't absolutely terrible. You know, you can kind of go max HP, max defense, max HP, max special defense, and just kind of give it a specific role, and it can really do it very well, just depending what that might be. Having a great ability in Aftermath, if it gets KO'd with a contact move, the move user loses a quarter of its max HP, which is absolutely amazing. It can be crucial and game changing at certain points, depending on the situation you get in. Having access to stuff like Clear Smog, Drain Punch, it also gets Explosion, Gunk Shot, Haze, Pain Split for the recovery, so it's not even the worst. Also having the Toxic Spikes and Spikes, obviously, like I mentioned, and also being able to regularly toxic things is such a great thing to have. Excuse me. So I'm really happy I grabbed Garbodor. I honestly think I can make it put in work, like utilize it to the best of my abilities to actually put in work. So hopefully I can make this Garbodor work. I've never used it before, so I'm really excited to use it. Everyone obviously makes the joke that it's trash, but I honestly think it could be good. It also gets Gunk Shot, so it's a great stab move right there. So really excited to use this thing. Even getting access to like offensively, it also gets Psychic and stuff like that, and Sludge Bomb, Sludge Wave. So if I want to run a special set or something, I absolutely have that option too, so that's a great thing to have. So next up, I was just kind of looking out of the lower tiers, tier 5, and I was just kind of seeing, because at this point that was the only thing I could really afford was something out of tier 5. I didn't really have anything I needed at this point. I had good removal, good hazards, so I didn't really need anything. So I was just kind of looking for a speed tier, because my team kind of has a gap between Victini's 100 and Milotic's 81, so I kind of want to fill something in there with the base 90s. I was just kind of looking in tier 5, see if there's anything that was worthwhile, and I saw Zangoose, so I just had to grab Zangoose. Base 90 speed, base 115 attack isn't the most overwhelming, but having the Toxic Boost option, if you run Toxic Orb on this with Toxic Boost, it's basically a free choice band that lets you switch up your moves, so that's absolutely amazing. Having access to Sab's quick attack basically makes this choice banded quick attacks. It hits like a truck. If you can get into a situation where it can sweep, it absolutely can. Body Slam, it also gets Close Combat, Double Edge Endeavor just kind of being a nice utility option. It also gets Final Gambit, so if I want to run Choice Card Final Gambit perhaps, that's also an option. Fire Punch, Focus Punch, so maybe like a sub Focus Punch, Ice Punch, Knockoff, Low Kick, Night Slash, Poison Jab, Power Punch, Quick Attack, Pursuit, Rock Slide, Seismic Toss, Shadow Claw, Thunder Punch, X Scissor. It basically gets all the coverage you'd really want out of this thing, so I think it's absolutely a great utility. You know, it's not necessarily going to win you games, but it can obviously wall break and just kind of threaten things, so I thought it would be a great addition to the team. As like I said, I didn't really need anything in this spot at all necessarily, like didn't need a specific thing besides the base 90 speed mon, so I thought Zangoose would be perfect for that role. It also gets access to Taunt, so if I need to run Taunt, that's also an option. And it also gets immunity, which is kind of nice. It's kind of the 360, or excuse me, 180 of Toxic Boost, where it can't be poisoned. So instead of wanting to be poisoned, it can't be poisoned, which I think is pretty funny. But you know, Zangoose isn't the best mon ever, but it can be used. If you use it properly, it can absolutely put in work. So I'm excited to see how using this thing goes. Who knows if I'll even bring it, but hopefully I can put in some work with it. And finally, like I mentioned, I need a Steel type, I need a Rock Setter, I need a Mega. No one can grab any of those things. Well, no one can grab a Steel or a Mega at this point. So I decided to wait until last round, like I said, and I decided to go Mega Aggron. Big boy Mega Aggron with the base 230 defense with the filter is absolutely disgusting. Takes physical hits for days. I also need a physical wall, as my walls are primarily specially defensive, as in my Lodic and Florges. So absolutely having the Mega Aggron definitely helps those two out. Mega Aggron plus Florges is just kind of disgusting, and it has base 140 attack, so not even a bad attack stat. It hits like a truck. Heavy Slam is so spammable from this thing. Only things I want to switch in on this, like a Heavy Slam, is like a Steel type or a Fire type, but this thing gets access to Earthquake, stuff like that. So those things can't even really switch in. So that's absolutely beautiful. And like I said, it has the filter ability, so every super effective hit does 3/4. Yeah, 3/4 of what it would normally do, which is absolutely amazing, especially having such a low special defense. It's not even that low. It's base 80 special defense and base 70 HP, so it's not the most specially defensive, but having the filter definitely helps that out a ton. So that is super nice. Gets great coverage. It gets autonomized, so if I want to run a sweeping set, I can. It also gets, I believe it also gets Rock Polish. Yes, it does. So it even gets Rock Polish. Has access to Aqua Tail, Avalanche, Body Slam, Brick Break, Dragon Claw, Double Edge, Dragon Tail, so if I want to phase things out so I'm not set up fodder. Earthquake. It also gets Fire Punch, Focus Punch. It gets Head Smash, Heavy Slam, Iron Head, Ice Punch, Outrage, Power Up Punch. It also gets Rock Slide, Shadow Claw, Super Power, Stone Edge, Thunder Punch. So this thing gets coverage out the wazoo. It basically has coverage for every single mon you could think of, basically. So this is absolutely amazing. I'm super excited to use Mega Aggron. I think it can absolutely put in work, and I'm just super excited to see how this team goes. So just kind of finally recap the team. We're looking at a squad of Darkrai, Victini, Milotic, Florges, Galvantula, Zygarde 10%, Dolomize, Aerodactyl, Garbodor, Zangoose, and Mega Aggron. So absolutely excited to use this team, like I said. If you're excited to see this team in action, definitely hit the like button. Subscribe if you guys are new. Leave a comment on the video how excited you are to see this draft, or at least me using this draft. So anyways, guys, I'm gonna head out. Like I said earlier, all the coaches' links will be down in the description below, so definitely go check them out. But anyways, guys, I'm gonna head out, like I said, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.